Welcome back, and on today's news, it reads that European Union warns Nigeria. The 21 billion naira we donated is for poor Nigerians. The European Union. The head European Union delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Ketil Carlson, has said that the 21 billion naira, which is 50 million euros, donated to Nigeria by the EU is largely meant for the poor. Now, this seems very, very sketchy to me, because why is the European Union giving this amount to Nigeria? I mean, to be honest, they need the money themselves, especially when it comes to research in terms of finding a vaccine for coronavirus. I mean, a lot of people are out of jobs in Europe because of the lockdown, and they're giving this exorbitant amount to a country that has less than 1,000 deaths or even 500 people infected. So this seems very, very sketchy. That is why part of the 50 million we provide will be for the relief and safety net for the most vulnerable people, internally displaced persons, the poor people that depend on the informal markets. They do day-to-day work to put food on their table, the elderlies, the IDPs, and these particularly vulnerable people are the center stage of our intervention, he said. But did we ask you? It's very, very sketchy, and I don't understand why Nigeria is collecting this amount of money, because then we're going to be indebted to these people for helping us during these times, when in the grand scheme of things, this money should be pumped into the research and also helping their people who are out of jobs, because it's not their responsibility to take care of Nigerians, because it's basically Nigeria's responsibility of the government. Earlier, he had said that the donation was also meant for the provision of personal protection equipment, kits, and to double the testing capacity for COVID-19 in the country. Fielding questions from journalists in Abuja on Tuesday, shortly after announcing the 50 million euros donation at the presidential villa, Carlson said the fund, which would be administered by the United Nations, would increase the capacity of COVID-19 treatment in the country. He said the pandemic requires global responses, and if we try to fix it country by country, we may not get it right. And that is the approach, and that is why we are adopting this multilateral approach. So Team Europe came up with a significant package for Nigeria. We are mobilizing 50 million euros and another 1.2 million euros that we already gave as part of humanitarian assistance through UNICEF. This is just sounding all shades of sketchy and fishy. This does not seem right. Why are they so passionate about the business of Nigeria? This should be the government's responsibility, especially when we know the money is there. So the leaders are just putting themselves as incapable and incompetent of taking care of their own country, that a whole European Union, the union of European countries in the continent of Europe, have put money together, and they're using the name of UNICEF and the United Nations to seem as though they're doing good works, when in reality your continent is a high-risk place of coronavirus, where the money, again, as I said, should be put in research to find these vaccines and also help the people who are out of jobs. Carlson stressed that the EU was concerned about the health and economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic, noting that Europe did not want Nigeria to experience what it was going through presently. But before the coronavirus incident, Nigeria was down economically. Why were they not there to help? That's the question. Earlier, the President, Muhammadu Buhari, commended the European Union for the donation. Receiving the EU delegation, Buhari said the donation would go a long way in supporting Nigeria's efforts at controlling and containing the virus. To be honest, the government might see this as chicken change, because they probably have so much that they're giving. And with the EU knowing how corrupt the Nigerian government is, they know for a fact that the money will not even reach any poor Nigerian. They know that for a fact. They know how corrupt the country is. This is not the first time they've been giving donations. And from the past, they've seen that, you know what, nothing has come out of these donations except for putting themselves in a good light and giving themselves a good name, while giving Nigeria a bad name and giving them, you know, the impression and giving them a reputation that they're corrupt and they don't spend any money. Even though we're corrupt, but then why are you trying to intensify the whole name? The president, according to a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, also conveyed the condolences of the government and people of Nigeria to EU member countries and families that lost their loved ones to a COVID-19 pandemic. He said, although the EU is facing significant challenges due to this pandemic, I am indeed touched and grateful that the EU still had the vision and foresight to remember its friends, partners, and allies across the world. This just screams manipulation, because Nigeria did not ask for the money. Why are you giving them the money? Because at the end of the day, because of how corrupt these leaders are, they have made this probably is chicken change to them, because they spend so much more. They know what they have. And it's embarrassing because it's like they have the money. They're just stealing it and being corrupt. So I don't understand where this gratitude is coming from, because there has to be something more to this. There has to be underlying deals that they've made, because this doesn't make sense. It's unwarranted. No one asked for your donation. And this is how Nigeria will get tied up into affairs like this, that will leave them forever indebted to the European Union. He said in his remarks, Carson described the donation channeled through the United Nations. You see, the thing is, Nigeria is not a high-risk country. This is the fact. Of course, we can't underestimate that the virus can spread, but it is not a high-risk country. Africa as a whole is not even high risk. So that the European Union should be actually spending on themselves, because people are out of jobs in their continent. They're not doing that, but then coming to Nigeria to give this amount. What are they trying to do? Buy Nigeria because the Chinese are coming in and giving, having doctors? It doesn't make sense. And Nigeria is not standing their ground in actually knowing what kind of deals these are and what to accept and what not. I mean, it's just really... It's really, really sad. It says, channeled through the United Nations COVID-19 Basket Fund as the largest single contribution. It's the largest single contribution to the response in Nigeria so far, and the largest support that the EU is providing anywhere outside Europe. They're basically buying Nigeria. That's what it is. He said, we heard your call for assistance, and the EU has reacted swiftly as a demonstration of true partnership. The country itself, the citizens never recalled asking for help. 1. 2, yes, the situation is bad in Nigeria. Obviously, it's not a high-risk country. 1, it's not affecting all states. 2, and even though, yes, the national healthcare system is not the best, a lot of people are healing from it using natural remedies. So it's, when we're talking high risk, the money should not be going into Nigeria. They need the money themselves. So there has to be some underlying thing that they're looking for, because it just doesn't seem genuine. Please put your comments in the comment section below, and do not forget to like and subscribe.